Hello there, Alan Plum here again with a little more from Shed Engineering. First of all, we've got a major problem with the tunnel. Even though I measured the side walls and supposedly got them to scale, the arch over the top is far too high. I should have actually learnt my lesson, because when I built the little access bridge on the incline, I made the same mistake. I used a Pico portal to get the measurements for that, and that turned out a lot too high as well. But I've fallen into the same trap and made the same mistake. And there you can see the huge amount of clearance I've got over the top of a coach. Now at first sight that might not seem such a problem, but it actually has a huge effect on the landscape because it pushes everything up. So if you're modelling a hill, then that has got to be so much taller. In this case, where it's going to be a simple road bridge, then it has the same effect. The slope or incline of the road up to the bridge has got to be so much steeper as well. Looking at a scale drawing of a road bridge, then you need approximately 30 millimeters from the track bed to the top of the arch, and in actual fact I've got nearer 60. So that's basically double what it should actually be, which can only be described as a monumental cock-up. If you said, oh dear, I made the platform double the length it should be, then obviously it would be unacceptable, and the same here. And so my only option at this stage, I can't alter the curvature of the roof, so the only thing I can do is slash away the walls halfway round to try and lower the height of the tunnel. That will obviously take away a lot of its strength, but in my case here, this is going to be covered in foam, so I'm hoping that will give it the strength that it needs. Inside didn't work out all that well. My initial concept or idea behind modelling the inside of a tunnel was simply that if you had a cam truck going round, you didn't really want to see all the construction materials that had gone into making the tunnel, like blocks of wood and rolled up newspaper, the underside of the plaster cloth, etc. Now in terms of total realism, it should be absolutely pitch black until you get to a ventilator, and then you might be able to see a few details. So if you were going for out and out realism, you'd never see anything like this with a tunnel this well lit. But at least it shows my shoddy attempt. As you can see, as I've put these strips over, then I've ended up with quite a few gaps right around the tunnel walls. And as I laid each strip over, even though I was pressing it down on the outside, I couldn't see the underside because of the former that I'd got inside. And so obviously you're working somewhat blind. Now the photo taken looking in that direction looks fairly presentable, but if you look at it from the opposite direction, then each strip that I laid over the tunnel roof actually had little gaps in it. So I think I was working inside out and back to front almost. You really need a former that's like the shape of a gutter, so that you're laying these strips of cardboard into the gutter and gluing them, and you can actually see what your final result is. Whereas when I was doing it, the only result I could see is the outside, which was totally unimportant. In hindsight, I think it was totally unnecessary to do the roof with the stone paper, because if you're going for total realism, then all you would see is a sooty blackness basically. So working on that basis, I've just gone round with some filler This is just a first coat, so it's still quite noticeable, but I've just gone round and filled the worst of the gaps with some filler that's got some grey paint mixed in with it. So if you're thinking about modelling the inside of a tunnel, I'm sure you can come up with a better method than what I've used here and make some big improvements. But at least I've got access to the tunnel, and if I want to remodel it at a later stage, then I can do. Here I've put the tunnel in position and put some foam board in the corners and the middle to make sure that it stops in the correct position, and around the edges just put some cartridge paper so that when I fill it with foam it doesn't stick to the actual layout itself. So as you can see, we've made some progress. Got all the landscape painted all the way through. I'm just using either emulsion paint, as I've mentioned before, and in this case I'm using children's poster paint or watercolours. Only about £2 a bottle from Hobbycraft, so nothing expensive. And the hope is that I will use less scatter and flock, although I mean it doesn't look too bad as it is just painted, because I've got some reasonable texture on there. So let me try lifting this section out. If we just move the little house, and then I can show you that. So the idea was that that becomes a lift out section. You'll be able to come up with something far better than what I've done there. So that's another lump, and hopefully that'll locate nicely just there. We now need to shape that down and get that something like. There's another view of the hillside that's been painted, and actually I can't wait to start putting the trees in. Entered the rest of the landscape. It's nice to see it green rather than that brown colour, but I think the brown underneath helps quite a lot. I showed in a previous video making trees from garden weeds, just using dried garden weeds as the armatures. I'm pretty sure you won't get a tree armature any finer than that. And so I've got some trees prepared, and as I say, I can't wait to start putting them on the landscape. So as you can see, we've got it roughly shaped down. Just daubed it with some paint to give you an impression of what I'm after. Cut the tunnel down, so that's a lot lower, and as you can see, I've still got plenty of clearance for a coach, etc. And so the scenic section of the layout will be terminating at this road bridge, and there is actually a road bridge just north of Bakewell, with the road coming in like that across and down into Bakewell town. On most layouts, where the turning circle has been disguised or hidden, you always end up with a huge hill, and the line disappears into a huge hill or starts to go through a mountain. Trying to do something different here, the huge hill is over to the right hand side, and I'm trying to get the landscape as low as possible, and trying to create what looks like a cut-in. And I could actually put some track in there to make it look as if the line continues straight on rather than going round the turning circle. I can obviously remodel this several times and re-sculpt it and put some trees in it, and it's only a small area, but I just wanted to try and do something different, and I say to get the landscape falling away rather than being a big mountainous hilly area and the line going into that. So if I move my trees made from garden weeds out of the way, I can also show you the starts of the platforms, and it might start to make a little bit of sense that the platforms actually extend under the road bridge. Sorry, I haven't cleaned up. That's a surplus bit of scenery cut away. And I've run out of balsa wood. I'm just cutting them out of balsa wood. This piece of balsa wood is too short. That needs to come through and meet up with the one on the right hand side there, but that starts to give you an impression of where the platforms will be. Again, when you start scaling things down, it's difficult to get a platform of a realistic length, but I'm hoping that I can get something like 4 or 5 coaches in there with no problem. And as you can see there, I've also got the front of the station building modelled. But actually I've got a major problem. If I can just remove the station master's house. I've started to model the station building to scale, but the rest of the track has been shortened and squashed down, so to speak. I've kept the length of the platform as long as possible, so proportionally that's not too bad, because you've got the station building just here, you've got a footbridge coming across right next to the road bridge, and so we can perhaps just get that in just there. There was a length of platform going along there where there was a little siding at the back and a cattle loading bay, but the whole area has been squashed that way, sideways as well as lengthways. So if I now build it to scale, it's the width of the station building that's going to cause me a huge problem. So here obviously you've got the station building, and as I've said, the length of it proportionally to the platform is pretty reasonable, giving room just there for the footbridge possibly. But my problem is the width of the station building needs to come out to approximately there, and the turning circle for my road system comes round here, round there to there, and so I can't actually get the station building in if I build it to scale, and so I'm absolutely browned off. I thought I'd left plenty of room, but obviously not measuring it out, not having the station building, etc, etc, then this turning circle for the road system has come far too close to the platforms and the station building. Do I shorten the station building, cut a chunk out of the middle of it? The rest of the line is condensed down. Should I condense the platform down and the station building? Because really the station building is one of the only things that is actually to scale lengthwise. So that's a major dilemma. To remove all this road system, I haven't fully explained it, but it's a aluminium tube with a slot cut in it and then buried underneath. Well, that slot took approximately 3 weeks to cut with a junior hacksaw. I don't think it can be taken up and re-bent, because with a slot being cut in it, it'll just deform and be absolutely ruined. So, as I say, that's a little bit of a dilemma at the moment, to know what way to go. So perhaps I should console myself from that disappointment and put some trees in. So where do you think the first tree should go? The first little proper tree. Let's see. Where do you think? Just there? How about there? Coming up the hillside just here? What about one right on top? Yeah? One right on top up here somewhere? Or do you think that's a bit unrealistic? Now let's have one right on the top. Let's have one just here. There we go. Yes, we've got a tree. How's about that? Shed Engineering's first tree planted. Look at that. Hey? Wonderful. Right, now for the next one. Although better still, we could look at some photographs. We could look at some photographs of the actual era to see where the main trees were. So that's coming up the incline towards Bakewell. Same again, another one coming up the incline towards Bakewell. Notice how the embankments are completely void of vegetation because of line side fires. That's just coming up into Bakewell, and you can see how the platforms extend through under the road bridge. This is actually on the road bridge looking down onto the two platforms. The station building that I've just modelled is over on the left here, and then at this side there was just a facade. It matched the station building, but it was just a facade and a waiting room and a toilet. That's showing the back of the station, obviously. This is the road coming down from the bridge that we were just stood on. The bridge is just there. This is the way bridge for Frank Lomas, one of the coal merchants in Bakewell, and a couple of his lorries. And on that turning circle that I've got for the road system, this is where the way bridge would be, and so my little lorry that would come down the road would get weighed and then go across towards the sidings, but as I've explained, it will now run into the station building. And they've got piles of coal now spread right across the yard, and you can see the way bridge, or what used to be the way bridge, in the background there. And again, that's where my turning circle would actually be. In fact, there's a line right around the car park just there. I don't know whether you can see it on camera, but there's a line right around the car park that almost looks like the line that I've got across mine. This shows the road bridge in the middle distance, the station platform, station buildings, and then just here you've got the little siding off to the side where you had the cattle pens, and then the other sidings going off down towards the car park. You can see a coach just parked in the car park just there. Sidings going off down to where the weighbridge was and the coal merchant's office, and then this line coming towards you is coming up into the other sidings. A shot taken a bit further back, again you can see the two platforms just here, sidings going off up towards the coal merchant's yard. This is taken at a later date when there's another asbestos building being put in just there. Coal bunkers along here, and the goods shed and signal box is just behind us. A much later picture of the station, looking down from the road bridge. That's again looking in the same direction. I think it's probably taken from the signal box, and then you've got the goods shed with the line disappearing round the hillside into the distance, and there's just a couple of little bushes on the hillside, nothing at all, very bare. Another quite early photograph, signal box just there, don't know whether you can make out. Sorry they're not very good, I'm just flicking through them on the computer rather than uploading them into the editing software. You've got the goods yard just there, and again this is the hillside on the right hand side, and again totally void of any bushes or trees. Quite a sad photograph there, with the line being taken up and everything looking quite deserted and derelict. Lovely photograph here. We've walked further down the platform. You've got the hillside rising up on the right hand side, and there you've got one single tree, nothing else, just one single tree. Just here you've got the signal box and goods shed behind, and again the line curving away, the lines on the left hand side coming up here into the back of the station. There again, looking from the back of the station, you've got the hillside rising up at the other side, and in between the chimneys just there you've got the same single tree. You've got the signal box over on the left hand side and the line curving away around the hillside. Possibly one or two little bushes just along that edge, but as far as major trees go, there's just one. I don't know whether you can see that in the car park. There's a line again around there. Don't know what's made that, but it's obviously fairly permanent. That looks again very much like that line I've got around my car park for the road system. You've got the facade at this side, and again, even though it's a lot later, up on the hillside just one single tree. Although that's nice, that's showing a dry stone wall going up and over just there, which I haven't seen on any of the other photographs. Another nice photograph, again showing the hillside, the one single tree, and it isn't a stone wall in actual fact, it looks like a fence. Another couple of trees just in the background. I won't call them trees, they're more like bushes. Good shed right over on the left hand side. And I hope Alastair Green doesn't mind me using this photograph. This is a photograph of Bakewell station modelled by Alastair Green. I highly recommend you going and checking his channel out. If you type in Alastair Green, I'm sure you'll find it, or modelling Bakewell station. Absolutely fabulous scratch built models. I hope you can see the resemblance to the photographs I've just been showing, but I mean, just look at all the wrought iron detail, the lead flashing round the chimneys. Absolutely wonderful modelling. And if you find some of his other photographs, when you see the window frames and door frames, they're absolutely marvellous. And that's another picture of Alastair Green's Bakewell station, looking at the back of it. Wonderful model. I think that's a very rare and interesting photograph. Actually bagging the coal up on the back of a lorry, and they've got the scales there on the back, and so there you can just see a shovel there. There's somebody in the wagon filling the sacks of coal up and stacking them on the coal lorry. So there we go, that's about it for now. I can't see anything else of any major interest. We have made a little bit of progress, but then we've had as a major setback and need to have a rethink. As normal, many thanks to all the new subscribers. That's very much appreciated, and as usual, thank you very much for watching. So what's happening here? Oh, Graham's uploaded another video and Kevin's uploaded another one, and somebody's commented about the model shop. So I'm afraid that's it, folks, for now. As I say, thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all the new subscribers, and we'll see you soon. So what you up to, Graham? Oh, don't say we've got no sound.
And if you remember from my last video, the lighting was extremely bad, to say the least.